Hey, Glenn. How are you?
Good. Did you get a chance to read the latest from the DNI?
I did go through it. It's interesting because it's obviously a story that's years old now, and it's like I'm trying to remember all the beats of it a little bit, and maybe we should go through that timeline of what happened. But there's some pretty big breaking news today.
Yeah. So this was embargoed. We got it early this morning, and it was embargoed until I think 7 a.m. Eastern time. So we've taken the last hour and a half when we open it up and really tried to go through it. And we're doing a show on this tonight. So we're going to take you through the whole timeline. It'll be a great chalkboard for you to be able to understand it because this does matter. And I'll explain why tonight fully, but I'll also do that here as we go along. So what is your understanding of what was released on Friday?
I think maybe it's just better to go through the timeline rather than going through my because I find myself, and I don't know if everyone else is like this or not, but I find myself combining bits and pieces of this story with other things that I remember from that era, and then I feel like piecing this all together really needs a step-by-step.
Okay, so that's what we're going to do on the chalkboard tonight, so you'll really be able to understand. Okay. But let me take you through, in a rough way, what this is all saying.
Okay.
We know that the FBI had the, what do you call it, the hurricane...
Fusion
GPS.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the Steele dossier. We know now that the Steele dossier was completely discredited. Remember, the Steele dossier said he was over giving golden showers, with hookers in Moscow. It had all kinds of just horrible craziness in it. And it showed that what they were trying to say before the election was that he's going to be beholden because Putin has all of this stuff on him, okay? And this was all paid for by the Hillary Clinton campaign. And they had it. They gave it to the FBI. The FBI saw that it was Christopher Steele, who had been wildly discredited in the intelligence community. He used to be, I think, an MI5 guy, and then was caught lying to the FBI and in a bad way. And so they're like, no more. We cannot use him anymore. He is not a reliable source. So when they get it, they look at it and they're like, really, there's nothing. We can't do anything with this. That's why it was not released before the election, because the FBI had it and they were like, there's nothing here. However, it gave them enough to be able to go to the FISA courts and say, there might be something here, Judge. There might be something here. Now, they had to literally, an FBI lawyer doctored the evidence to be able to get it across the line with a FISA court. Okay,
and this was proven in a court.
Okay, he doctored actual documents and made it say the exact opposite of what it said, because otherwise they wouldn't have gotten the warrants for the FISA court.
And he was either convicted of this or pled guilty. I don't remember which one it was.
I don't know, but he was.
It was not like it's not like a thing that we're just making an accusation.
No.
Right? This guy actually doctored a document.
Yeah, and what he did should have given him 5 to 8 years, but the judge was Bozeman, the guy in Washington, D.C., the federal judge who has been trying to obstruct Trump on all. You can't. You got to stop the plane, mid-flight and turn it around. That guy. That's the guy who was the judge on this. He was found guilty, and then the judge said, I don't remember what it was, 400 hours of community service and, parole. So it was nothing. It should have been 5 to 8 years. But it was a slap on the wrist. But convicted of it. So they have it, and it's discredited, and the CIA and everybody else knows this is not reliable. It's not released except in whispers because of that. So you heard, some people saying, some are reporting that there is a bank that in Russia that is being pinged by Donald Trump's bank here. We don't know what that means. Well, that was in the Steele dossier. And no one could pin it down. They just had word from official sources in the FBI that some documents exist that show that this might be happening. Okay? So it's just a whisper campaign, all done through official channels for Hillary Clinton. Okay, so they get the FISA. They find that nothing with Papadopoulos, and so they stop the spying with him. They go to Carter Page. There's nothing there, and so Donald Trump wins. This is a shock to the system. Everyone expected Hillary Clinton to win, okay? So it's a shock that he wins. Now there's a presidential daily briefing called the PDB, Presidential Daily Briefing. It is something that comes to the president. It says, this is the latest on intel. This is the latest what's going on. And once you are a president-elect, you get that PDB, okay? Michael Flynn would have also gotten that PDB, and so they would have read it. So Barack Obama is told, hey, there's a presidential briefing coming out tomorrow about Russia, and it's going to show that they didn't try to interfere electronically. Really important. They didn't interfere electronically at all. They were not capable of doing anything that the media had been saying that it might have happened through official sources and whispers that they are doing this. But also there was the whispers because of the discredited Steele dossier that they were doing all these things to help Donald Trump get elected. So knowing that this now is going to say this and Donald Trump's team is going to have it, the president says, don't issue that presidential daily briefing yet. I want to have a meeting on it tomorrow. So Brennan then puts out an email to the people who prepare this and say, don't prepare this. The president wants to go in a different direction. We're having a meeting tomorrow. So the daily briefing is scrapped. They have a meeting. And President Obama says, I want this to read that they were trying to hurt Hillary Clinton and help Donald Trump. Okay? Forget about the other stuff. So this is where Obama's like, oh, apples and oranges. You know, we never said, well, I know. You never printed the stuff about the tech in that briefing because you wanted now to focus it. That showed nothing. You wanted to now show, wait a minute, they were helping him win against Hillary Clinton. But there was no new evidence, none. In fact, Comey from the FBI said, there's nothing here. Even Clapper was hesitant to do it. It was Brennan that was like, got it.
And when you say apples to oranges, this is their excuse from the last release of documents, right?
Yes.
The last release of documents had a piece in there where it said, we have no evidence of Russians going after voting machines and altering votes.
Correct.
And what they're saying is it's apples to oranges. Of course, we still believe that. What we were saying was they had propaganda efforts to help Donald Trump.
Correct.
And they're saying those are two different things, so we're okay.
And it's not propaganda. It's not just propaganda, because USA Today, I could give you this later on the show, USA Today did something on their propaganda and said there was no propaganda. What they were trying to do was sow discord. They were doing mainly race-based stuff.
Yeah.
And they were just pitting. They were taking one side. One tweet would be, against Hillary Clinton. The next one would be about Donald Trump.
We talked about that at the time.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so all they were trying to do was sow discord. All right. Now, once President Obama said, I want the presidential briefing, I want this added to it, there was pushback because there's no new evidence. On what evidence are you going to do this? And you want us to produce this right now? We don't have anything new. How are we going to produce this? Brennan said, not a problem. They're going to use the Steele dossier. Remember, discredited. FBI knows it's discredited. The CIA knows it's discredited. They know it comes from Hillary Clinton's campaign. And if that hadn't have been discredited, they would have used it prior to the election, okay? Because it was damning. But now they're desperate because he's in. So now use whatever you can. So now they say that, they were trying to throw it to Donald Trump. They were trying to hurt Hillary Clinton. Well, there's no evidence of that at all. In fact, what the Steele dossier says is that Donald Trump was, giving hookers a golden shower in Moscow. And so they have all of this dirt on him. And what they're going to do is he's going to be a puppet. Remember that? Yeah, he's a puppet.
That was essential. That was their essential argument.
Correct. He's a puppet because he's so dirty, and the FSB has all of this dirt on him that only the Steele dossier knows about, and he's going to be a puppet of the regime. That's what they're trying to say. But again, only the discredited Steele dossier is saying that. So during the day, nobody has reported on any of this stuff. Nobody has reported on it. The minute that that meeting is over, that night, the New York Times is working on a story that say intelligence officials now say that the Russians were trying to throw the election for Donald Trump. So, surprise, surprise, all of a sudden, the same day, this narrative that Obama just said he wanted in the presidential briefing is now in the New York Times. So it now begins to open the door. Credible officials are starting to talk about this. Okay? You now have information that shows that Brennan's, advisors, the intelligence officials came into his office, high-ranking intelligence officials came into his office and said, "We can't do this. There's nothing new. This violates all of our principles on how we collect information and how we process. It's moving too fast with nothing new. We can't do this." Brennan listens to three of them. Now, there is their objections in writing that we now have. And he says, well, you just don't have the information that I have. But he never reveals what information he has. Until, to this day, he has never said what information he had that his number 2 and 3 and 4 were objecting to and saying, well, no, then show us that information. How are we doing this? Okay. So he never says anything. Now the new information that comes out today. Do you follow this so far?
Yes. And by the way, you can follow along with these actual documents. They're up at glennbeck.com.
Okay. So now the new information today, I'll give it to you in 60 seconds. First, let me tell you about PragerU. Remember the first time somebody really challenged what you believe? Not mocked it, not shut it down, but ask a question that made you go, wait a minute, I don't know. Maybe it was a teacher who refused to toe the line. Maybe it was a friend who had been reading something different. Maybe it was your own kid coming home from school and asking, why haven't you told me America's the bad guy? And you're like, wait, what? And then they produce some evidence that you hadn't heard before. And if you're smart, you went, I don't know. I have to look that up. I don't know that story. Either way, you felt that shift. It was a moment where you realized if you don't teach them, someone else will, and you don't have the answers. Well, this is why PragerU exists, not to tell people what to think, but to give them a fighting chance to think at all. They have hundreds of videos on history, economics, and values, and PragerU is free. It is powerful, one of the most important tools we have to turn the culture around. I am proud to partner with PragerU. Dennis has done one of the best things, as a public service, I think anybody has done. PragerU exists now because of him and because of you. Go to prageru.com/Glenn. Make sure you use the /Glenn to get you to the right page. Sign up for their history and civics challenges, then share them with your friends and family, especially the young people in your life. It is free and just takes a few minutes. You can teach them the truth before it's forgotten. You'll also see on that page something that I am working on with them and will be released soon from PragerU. Go to prageru.com/Glenn. Remember, use the /Glenn or it will take you to their main page, which does not relate to a lot of this stuff. prageru.com/Glenn. 10 seconds and back to the show. Okay, what's released now today are new documents. So Obama responded yesterday and said, it's apples and oranges. You know, there's no evidence of anything. I think this is why Tulsi Gabbard waited. I think they were waiting for the response from President Obama. And I think Donald Trump tried to goad him into that response by saying he needs to go to jail. So he responds and says, there's nothing. This is all old news. Well, here's some news. What was released today, about 2 hours ago, is additional information. Remember, their premise was that Putin and Russia wanted Trump to win and was helping Trump. Let me show you the documents that they actually had, the compromising material that Russia supposedly had on Trump, the stuff that fueled the headlines about the golden showers and everything else. You know about this, but it was garbage intelligence. Unverifiable fragments, okay? Rumors. But post-election, John Brennan overrules, and he says, nope, that's exactly what is happening. Putin just wanted Trump to get the GOP nod, et cetera, but no collaboration. Here's what they did have. They have a document that was released today, the real compromising material that Russia had. And it wasn't on Trump. It was on Hillary Clinton. The document details the SVR, the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service. They have reports from 2016 on the hacking of the DNC. They allegedly had intel that Obama and the Democratic leaders were extraordinarily alarmed. First about, see if you've ever heard this, Hillary Clinton's health. Remember when we said her health? Remember when she passed out or dropped, she was getting into a car and we're like, there's something wrong here. Mm-hmm. What's wrong? And they said, no, she's just tired and it was heat. Apparently, the intel now then showed that Obama and the DNC were extraordinarily alarmed about Clinton's health, calling it a potential serious negative impact on her chances. And they outlined type 2 diabetes, ischemic heart disease, deep vein thrombosis, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Plus, listen to this, intensified psycho-emotional problems. Uncontrollable fits of anger, aggression, and then cheerfulness. That one's weird. I've never seen that. But allegedly, also, they say that she was on heavy tranquilizers daily. She was obsessed with power and afraid of losing. And Russia also knew about alleged secret meetings where Clinton allegedly offered State Department favors to religious groups for campaign support. All of the ethical standards galore. They knew about all of this, including something from the FBI. I'll tell you next.
This is Glenn Beck.
So every family has a house that lives on in a memory. The one where the kids learn to ride their bikes. The Thanksgiving dinner spilled from the kitchen that spilled into the living room. Or the backyard swings hung from that old crooked tree branch. When it comes time to leave that home and find a new one, it's not just a transition or a transaction. It's more than that. It's an end of that into something new, and it deserves to be handled with care and respect, and most of all, with experience. Real estate agents I trust, they know that. They're not just looking for a sale, they're looking out for you. And this is my company. These are real estate agents who have been fully vetted for their competence, their integrity, and a history of success. They're people who know how to negotiate, how to stage, how to close, and most importantly, how to get it done. So if you're buying or selling a home, trust matters. And that's exactly what you'll find at realestateagentsitrust.com. Agents who know the market and never lose sight of the prize. So go to realestateagentsitrust.com. That's realestateagentsitrust.com. Do it now. Tell us where you're moving from and to, and we'll help you find the right person. realestateagentsitrust.com.
Head over to glennbeck.com. Get the free email newsletter. Has all this information, and all these documents are
I received what's called embargoed document early this morning, and it was embargoed until about 2 hours ago, and so we've spent the last 2 hours trying to go through it and understand what it says, and it's from Tulsi Gabbard, and it is explosive document, and you're going to understand how important this document is in just a minute. And I'm going to show you tonight on chalkboard. I'll lay all of this out on a chalkboard tonight because it's hard to follow just by talking about it.
Yeah, it would be helpful to have the chalkboard. And by the way, if you can also get the exact documents online, glennbeck.com right now.
Yeah, okay.
So before you go on to the new information, though, I'm trying to see if I trace this back correctly.
Yeah.
So before the election, Trump there are these accusations against Trump, which are in the Steele dossier that everyone has inside the government, and they have already said there's nothing here, right? These are discredited. They then have a very surprise election result. So they were not planning on necessarily using this. They didn't think they had to.
Yes.
But then they lose the election. And now, afterward, they are trying to think about how to thwart Donald Trump as he becomes president.
Get him out of office, or at least just shut him down.
Shut him down. They are planning on releasing a PDB to the president, which would be on record to everybody, including Trump and Flynn.
Yes.
That says nothing there with the Russians. There's nothing there.
Electronically.
Nothing there. And they then are, before that comes out, Obama or
Obama.
It was Obama.
No, it was Obama. It's on record.
And we have it. Okay.
We have a document
that he said, "Look, let's delay. Let's have a meeting first. Don't put that in writing." Okay.
Right.
They have some meeting. They decide in that meeting that they are going to present this instead as actually the Russians are trying to help Trump. And the evidence for this is the Steele dossier.
Correct. Which they all knew had been discredited, or it would have been released earlier.
CIA and FBI have problems with this. They express those issues in writing and say, hey, this is...
What new information
What new information do we have?
Right.
In writing, Brennan says, we don't have any new information. We're moving forward anyway. This is what the president wants.
Correct.
That new... briefing finds its way into the New York Times the next day, right? Yeah. From quote-unquote intelligence sources.
Probably Brennan.
Lays the groundwork for everything that happens after.
Correct. Okay. So now, Obama says yesterday that, there's nothing here. There's nothing new. Apples and oranges. You're comparing different things. Okay. Well, that all falls apart when you see what they didn't put in. Remember, what they did was they said Russia was in the bag for Donald Trump, and he's going to be a puppet because they have so much dirt on him, as found in the Steele dossier. Okay? But here's what we did have, and this is the released memo. You have to read, just for history, you have to just look at it, because there's probably only 25 people in the world that had seen this document. Okay?
Before today.
This document, there are only 5 paper copies. It is so top secret that it was not allowed to be put on any kind of digital format, and it was all kept in the highest level safe. Okay? Donald Trump saw it at the end of his administration. This is the document that he said, I want that released. And And then they didn't release it. Remember, on his last day, he's like, I want this I declassify it and I want it released. And then after he left office, they didn't declassify it and they didn't release it. And it is also most likely the document that they were looking for when they went to Mar-a-Lago. Because that Mar-a-Lago raid made no sense. Made no sense. This happens all the time. Every president, as you saw with Joe Biden, 3 days later, he had stuff in his garage that was top secret. They were looking for something in particular, and what they were looking for is this document. This document now is at glennbeck.com, released 2 hours ago. This is the highest level of top secret we have. So what's in the document? The document details SVR, which is the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service, and the reports from 2016 from Russia about the hacking of the DNC. Remember, they were hacked and nobody could figure out who hacked them. And there was never anything about it. And everybody was like, what? That's no big deal. No big deal. Why was that no big deal? Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody seemed to care about it. It was like, really, no big deal. Well, in this report, it shows it was a very big deal because out of that hacking, the Russian Foreign Service, at least this is the information they got from intel on the Russian Foreign Service, that they had the intel now that Obama and the Democratic leaders were, and I'm quoting, extraordinarily alarmed about Clinton's health, calling it a potential serious negative impact on her chances. Type 2 diabetes, ischemic heart disease, deep vein thrombosis, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Plus, listen to this, I'm quoting, intensified psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness. That last one is, I mean, I would have said this has no credibility at all. I've never seen her cheerful. She was also, according to the intelligence that they got from the Russians based on the DNC hacks, she was allegedly also on heavy tranquilizers every day, obsessed with power and afraid of losing. Russia also knew about the alleged secret meetings where Clinton allegedly offered State Department favors to religious groups for campaign support. Ethical scandals galore, including pressure on the FBI over her email probe via high-ranking DOJ official. Russia had all of this. And then we had the Steele dossier from a discredited FBI source that said Russia has pictures of him giving golden showers. Now, they are saying the Steele dossier, which they had already discredited. Obama says, go back. They said, we have no new information. Go back and use this and show that Russia was trying to get Trump to win. He was trying to help Hillary Clinton lose because he had all this dirt on Donald Trump so he could be a puppet. But the facts show the exact opposite. Now, does this sound familiar? This is what the left always does. Whatever they're accusing us of doing, they're doing. The Russians actually had all the dirt from the DNC hacking, or at least we believed they had it from this official Russian report, that they had all the dirt on Hillary Clinton. Now, if Putin was really trying to win, why wouldn't he drop these nukes? Why wouldn't he have pushed these things out? Instead, they seek milder stuff. And they are trying to undermine democracy overall. They're trying to split us. They're not electing Trump. They're trying to divide us. They think Hillary Clinton is going to win, and they think that this is going to be good for them because they have all of this stuff. They're also, according to sources, they're also kind of afraid of her because she seems unstable. Okay. So what does Obama do? He says that Russian actions showed they have a clear preference for Trump, but they admit all of the reports from Putin's advisors warning a Trump win could mean a Republican Congress hostile to Russia. Remember, we said Donald Trump is he's stronger on Russia than any president has been since maybe Reagan. What are you talking about? He likes Russia. He's really strong against Russia. And compared to anybody else, remember, Hillary Clinton was like, I'm going to do a reset. The Steele dossier is then being shoehorned into this document as additional reporting on Putin's intentions. Despite the CIA vets who are going into Brennan's office on the record, we have documents proving that they went to and said, you can't do this. This is DNC opposition research, unverifiable hearsay, fabricated claims, regurgitated media stories. You can't do this. Steele has been fired from the FBI because he was lying to the FBI. And you're going to misrepresent it as legitimate intel from an FBI source with a layered network and admit all bias, all the payments, all of the sub-sources that are unknown and unvetted, and we are going to also not include the stuff that we know they have from the DNC hack about Hillary Clinton? Brennan's response to his team is, yeah, but on Donald Trump, doesn't that ring true? Well, that's not facts. That's an opinion. That's advocacy. Doesn't that ring true? That's not the way. And they point this out. That's not the way. That's a violation of how we do intel. So, Obama orders the new guidance, limited coordination, no broad peer review at all, and to publish before Trump takes office. This is a coup. This is a lie. This was all manufactured. Now, Obama denies all of it, but today, only 5 copies existed, only in paper, and they were all in the most confidential safe of the United States government and released 2 hours ago that show all of this. So why hide the part about Clinton? If you were actually doing something, you could say, we have this from the Steele dossier, but we also have this that we know Russia has on Hillary Clinton. But they don't do that. Instead, they say Trump's a Russia puppet and completely leave out that what they're really wanting is to be the puppeteer of Hillary Clinton. It's all released today. You tell me. Does this matter? Does the president, the former president of the United States, instructing the CIA to change course, to allow them and encourage them to leave out really important facts, use something that had already been discredited, and then within a few hours, before any of this had been done, start a whisper campaign and leak to the New York Times that CIA officials are now looking into some pretty serious charges about Donald Trump? This was planned and coordinated, and it goes all the way to Mar-a-Lago because this is the document they thought he might have. They had to get rid of this document. They did not want him to release this document. But don't worry, if we get it out of his hands, which he didn't have, if we get it out of his hands, well, we'll put him in jail, so he'll never be able to tell this story anyway. And DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, comes out today and releases this document. It's all at glennbeck.com, and we'll have the full chalkboard on this tonight at 9 o'clock, only on Blaze TV. All right, remember when you were a kid and you hated bedtime? You'd kick, you'd scream, you'd negotiate a hostage release just for 5 more minutes? I remember that. I mean, I remember asking, going down, and it's late at night, and I just wanted to stay up a little, and I'd ask my my mom really important questions. But, Mom, I have a really important question. She knew what I was doing because my kids did it to me, and I knew exactly. However, now I love bedtime. Sleep is wasted on the youth. It really is. Think about bedtime in the middle of the day. Yeah, I do. Here's the problem. You're not sleeping well. You lie there, you stare at the ceiling, you wake up 3 times in the middle of the night, you try to count sheep, you've tried breathing exercises, nothing. If you want real restorative sleep, the kind that makes you feel human again, you need to try Z Factor from the makers of Relief Factor. It's a sleep supplement designed to help you fall asleep and stay asleep and wake up from that, sleep without hangover or anything you get from other sleep aids. And by the way, this is really top shelf stuff, and it's cheaper than the other sleep aids. Z Factor works to support your body's natural sleep cycle, so get the rest you really need. Z Factor. You're going to get 46% savings. It's 95%. It's $19.95. It's a 30-day supply. First-time Z Factor buyers are going to get that, so you can just try it for 30 days. ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
The left's got a roadmap. Straight off a cliff. Let's take the right trail. Glenn Beck returns shortly.
Unless you're in Europe, ice is important, okay? And pebble ice just hits different. There's something just deeply satisfying about that soft, chewable texture. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, it's so
I got a pebble ice machine 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's like private air travel.
It is.
It's
amazing.
like it's that good to have in your house. You're like, I am successful.
Yes,
yeah.
That is exactly how it feels. The Chef Man Pebble Ice Maker is a compact, portable version of this, and it is awesome.
Game changing.
It doesn't require a water line. It just fill the tank, you turn it on, and you enjoy up to 33 pounds of fresh Pebble Ice a day. Yes, it fits neatly under most kitchen cabinets, which is where I keep mine. Just as great, though, at your office, at a home bar, out on the patio during a summer barbecue. It is awesome. Whether you're just entertaining guests or just trying to survive the heat, Pebble Ice has become the unexpected star of the show. And it is true. Countertop Ice Maker delivers it fast, consistently, without any hassle. It's just perfect. I love it in my soda. It's just incredible. It is well built, it's easy to use, and it is built to last. It makes the perfect gift for someone that you care about. And right now, during their flash sale, it's up to 30% off. It's only for a limited time, though, while supplies last. So check it out. Chefman.com/Blaze. Chefman.com/Blaze. Use the promo code Blaze30 for that flash sale. It is chefman.com/Blaze. Code Blaze30.
I got to tell you, we got to get into the Stephen Colbert thing because it is just driving me out of my mind. It's so the progressive movement. But anyway, G writes in, Glenn, how can a person with no heart have pulmonary issues? Good point. Johnny, none of this means a damn thing if there are no arrest and jail time. True. Kenneth, when the balloons fell at the DNC, her reaction should have been a sign of all of this. It was weird. Scott, Brennan will just pull an ollie north and take the hit. No one else will be touched. Michael, send Hillary, Biden, and Obama to Alligator Alcatraz. I would say that's a pretty good idea. Oh my gosh, you want them eaten by alligators? No, only if the bad guys try to escape. What do you have a problem with electric fences and razor wire now? It's the same thing, except we save money on razor wire. I'm just saying.
This is Glenn Beck.